Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Sorry, the garage is a bit of a mess. We've just been jumping from project to project to project and now to this project. This is my wife's bike, 1987 TRX250R. If you guys watch the channel, you saw we did a motor rebuild on it earlier this spring. We are getting ready to go hit some dunes, and these tires are not going to cut it. So we need to do a tire swap. We got to shine these up before we put them on. And we're going to do a rejet on it. The place we're going is actually a higher elevation than we are. And as you can tell, she's running a little rich. We're getting a lot of oil out of the pipe. That is not supposed to be black. It's supposed to be gray. That's the engine cases. So we are going to lean her out a little bit. The petcock has been leaking, so we're going to do a rebuild on the petcock. And, fresh reeds. When we rebuilt the motor, I noticed the reeds were pretty weak. I don't think they're closing all the way, but it's what I had at the time, so I threw them back in. New reeds came in, so we're going to change those out as well. Let's get started. All right, guys, paddles are on. We just got done bleeding the brakes because they were almost non-existent. However, I don't like that. What that's gonna cause is she's gonna be fighting this thing all day. This tire is constantly gonna be trying to drag. And I bet it's because our caliper needs to be taken apart and the sliders on it need to be lubricated. So let's give that a shot. It's on there pretty tight, guys, so there's a little lip here on the edge of the rotor. So I'm just gonna pry the shoes apart a little bit so we can get the caliper off. Okay guys, so these are our sliders. Here's one. Here's the other. If this, actually that doesn't move too bad. If that doesn't move, if it's really locked up or really hard, then it will keep your pads from opening back up as the tire spins and letting it spin freely. So the bearings feel fine, so we're not hung up on a bearing. Let's pull the pads and the sliders apart and see if we can lube them up, get a little bit more movement out of it. So this pin actually looks pretty corroded, which sometimes your pads can hang up on that pin. So we will wire wheel it off and throw a little grease on it. See if that helps us out at all. You guys can see how corroded that pin is, and those brake pads are going to hang up on that and they're not going to slide back and forth like they should. I probably have another set of brake pads for it. So the sliders actually don't look too bad. We'll clean them up and grease them while we got it apart. They're not bad. They're not great, but they're not bad. I think if we have it apart anyways, and I'm pretty sure I have another set of pads in a box, we might as well change them while we have it apart. Cool. Okay guys, if you don't have a wire wheel, you can cheat like me. We do have a wire wheel, it's just out in the shop, and I thought this was a quick and easy way to do it. Maybe you guys might get a kick out of it. We got the right size Allen head for our pin, and we got a green Scotch-Brite pad, and we got hooked up to our impact. We'll just hold it with this and give her a spin. And you can see how much cleaner it is. Okay guys, so the brake reservoir is pretty full because we just got done bleeding it, and I need to push these brake pistons back in because we're putting new pads on, so we don't have room for them. So we're gonna loosen up our bleeder. Yep, we're gonna loosen up our bleeder. So our extra brake fluid has somewhere to go. And then we're gonna give our pistons a little squeeze. And just get them back flush. This one's pretty tight. This might be what's hanging us up. There it goes. Okay, let's get the bleeder closed off and I'll show you what the pistons look like now. Brake fluid's super corrosive, guys. As you can tell, like most of the paint is coming off of this caliper from bleeding brakes over the years. So you're gonna wanna wash all this stuff down or it's gonna eat through everything. Your powder coat, paint, it'll go through it if you give it enough time. So if you see our pistons are pretty much flush now, I'm going to grease all the pins and we can start putting everything back together. Got the pads in, got our mounting plate on, all of our sliders are greased. Let's put it on the rotor, see how it works. So whenever you're doing calipers, if you take them both off, maybe you get them mixed up or confused, your bleeder should always be at the top. That's how you get air out. If your bleeder is not at the top, you will spend hours and hours fighting it and they will never work right. Not to say that these are going to work right anyways, but it definitely won't help your situation. Okay, I'm gonna get all this cleaned up before we put the tire and wheel back on, and then we'll test it out. Okay guys, we got it put back together, bled the brakes again, and made sure that they are actually working, and let's try it now. Still not great, but we do have fresh pads on there. So we'll need to burn those in, maybe build a little heat in it and see what that'll do for us. It's a lot better than it was, so we will give it a shot. It might just be time to do a caliper rebuild on it. Okay guys, next up on the list, let's do jet change and fresh reeds. All right, guys, I don't have the neck size down for Pilot Jet and Main Jet, so we're gonna go to the bike shop tomorrow. Today's Monday, so there's no bike shops open. We got the reed cage off, and it has carbon fiber reeds in it, which we knew that just from after the motor build. But as you can see, one thing to look for on your carbon fiber reeds, they work awesome, but you may start to get some fraying on the edges like that. They're pretty snappy. I did turn them around when we had the motor apart, but I have a new set for it. They're not the carbon fiber ones, but they're Boys in Performance reeds, so they'll work just fine. And I'm just afraid that that is just a very small amount away from fraying down into that opening, and we won't get a good seal anymore. So we're going to change them out while we have it apart, and then tomorrow we'll throw some fresh jets in it. All right, guys, next on the list, we're going to rebuild the petcock. This is a spare one I had, so I can rebuild it and swap it over without dumping the entire fuel tank. Both of these are leaking, so we are going to rebuild 2 of them. These are getting, I wouldn't say like super expensive, but they are more than they used to be, and the rebuild kit was like $15, I think. So we're going to start by taking the 2 screws off the face of the petcock. And that seal is what is bad on the old ones, and it's allowing gas to leak out and around it. Luckily, we got a fresh kit. Let's check it out. All right, guys, here's our fresh kit. It is from Moose Racing, Honda TRX250R, 86 to 89. I'm guessing this will probably work on a lot of the old Hondas, but I don't know. This one's only for 86 to 89, so maybe not. Let's take a look at what's inside. Okay, for sure. Want those. Those are the new screws that hold the faceplate on. This is our seal that's inside the body. This is the plastic O-ring that goes underneath the faceplate. They didn't give us a new metal crush washer, so we're going to keep our old one. See if we can get this out. Make sure our holes are lined up. Get that pressed in there. Oh, this has a little O-ring around the lip. Comes with one of those too, so let's replace it. Oh, I take it back. It does come with a little crush washer. This kit's got everything. Sorry guys, I know my fat fingers are in the way. Okay, that's down in the groove. So let's get a little oil on it. Oh, too much, too much. Edit that out. Oh, guys, okay, that took quite a bit of working, and I had to take some precision screwdrivers, kind of shove that O-ring in around the edge while I held some pressure on it because it just kept wanting to pop out. But we got it in there now. So now we'll do our crush washer and our gasket. Pretty sure that's the right order. And we can add our new screws. Oh shoot, that's an old one. All right, guys, we got our rejet done. We dropped down one size on the pilot jet and two sizes on the main. We went from a 130 to a 125, and I moved the clip on the needle jet up one, so that's going to drop it down a little bit farther. So we should be a little bit leaner across the board, off the bottom, in the mid-range, and at the top. And it was rich all the way across the board, guys, so this should help out quite a bit. We'll get the carburetor put on and kick it over, see how it sounds.